Hey, what's going on, everybody? Thanks for watching. We've got 2 long weeks until the Super Bowl, but we know the teams that are going to be playing. I'm, of course, with Jim McCormick, most famous for his punctuation dynasty, but also for completely getting the games wrong last week. Hi, Jim.
Yeah, that was my goal, was to have an incredible build-up and then just lose everything. So,
And wild card weekend, all that trash talking feels like it was a long time ago.
yeah, 6-0 to having no idea what you're doing. That's football.
Well, so I got the Rams right from way back when we were picking our participants. Unfortunately, I had them losing to the Titans in the Super Bowl, so I don't get to crow a little bit. We both, just to review what we did in picking the conference championship games last week, we both picked Kansas City. We both gave the points. They lost straight up. That was obviously wrong. We felt pretty smart at halftime. We felt smart. Our smartness felt right up until the point where they had to play a second half.
That's when I realized this was not going to work out. Very early in the second half, I said something's wrong here.
Well, we'll talk about that in a second. And then I actually had the Niners with the points, and so 3 instead of 3.5. I win, and I also got the under correct. I think you had Chase over on yardage. I don't think that worked out, but that's all right. You're still having a winning playoffs, and so the focus of this, I sort of with you, Jim, just sort of want to look back and what happened, because I'll give an overview of what I think. We've talked a lot, you and I, about this season being kind of a weird season and not having a team that a lot of pretty good teams, but there's definitely no great teams. I might say there are no even good teams. And I would point to the championship games by way of saying, did anybody play well in those games?
No, it was defined it like it was everybody discussed what another great weekend, but the caliber of play wasn't great. The idea that it was very competitive was. I guess the clutch time in terms of how much leverage we saw at the end was so fun, but yeah, it really wasn't that high level. There was a lot left on the field, it seems.
No, we go back to that Chiefs-Bills game. It felt like the two best teams. It felt like the game, and suddenly neither one's in it. I got to start with Patrick Mahomes, because suddenly the Konami code, as you like to say, just completely vaporized. And we're going to hear, we'll show you a few of the plays. The play before halftime, unbelievable. What are you doing? You have no timeouts. You can't throw it short of the goal line. I'm really stupid, and I know that. And then how he played basically the entire second half, as though the Bengals had done some incredible tactical shit. All I could really tell was, for the first half, they played 2 safeties back and mostly rushed 4. And the second half, they mixed it up and sometimes rushed 3 with a defensive lineman spy on him. It felt like the revenge of everything we talked about on the channel and the podcast all season long. Patrick Mahomes not consistently being able to beat coverages that hang back.
Yeah, and it was like that funk, that mid-season funk, or maybe it was longer than mid-season funk Kansas City experienced. It just felt like it came right back in the third quarter. I forget what the exact number is, but he averaged 4 seconds per dropback in second half, but 4 yards per his average after target was 4 yards. So what a strange combination of chasing the big play, but then checking down everything. It was quite Reidian, quite Andy Reidian.
It was, well, as a Philly guy, you do know your readiness. I actually thought it kind of looked at times Cousins-ish. That's not neither one of those things is meant to be a compliment. But then going the other way, the Bengals, they played terrible in the first half. They probably should have been losing 28-7 at the whatever, 28-10.
That P-Ryan play was the game, really, right? That was huge.
Right, good play, and yet just sort of the defense opened up. I don't think you'd go, wow, unbelievable schematic, just like bad defensive play. And then Joe Burrow himself, that interception at 21-21 early fourth quarter. That's a Garoppolo throw. That's a horrible throw. That's 5 feet lower than it should have been.
And he got away with a few, just into traffic ones early. One to Uzoma, one to, I think, Boyd, where they were just tip drills. So yeah. In terms of the idea of throwing into danger, that was kind of the game plan.
But I will say that probably I think the difference in the game, Mahomes scrambled like crazy in that Bills game. It was those 2 Burrow scrambles on third down. Third and long twice on the drive. Yeah, but both of them were great. One of them was totally insane. This is a torn ACL kid. I think that difference right there. It's why the Bengals in the Super Bowl. I'm not sure they're great, but that's why they're there.
Yeah, the timely plays, the big time plays. I gotta say, I didn't think the guy who dressed like Johnny B. Good or whatever he was coming in as, he looked like he beat up a shop teacher, but he ended up being the guy. I was surprised in terms of I was the one who rode Cincinnati, at least until I didn't, and maybe that wasn't supposed to be their moxie. There's something there? I don't know.
I have no idea what you were talking about. Johnny Be Good, Johnny Football. What are you talking
about? There's a movie with Michael Anthony Hall where he's a football player and he dresses.
Shut it down.
Yeah,
shut it down.
There you go. Right.
All right. So then the other. So again, like great, the Rams won, and I think they played well offensively in the fourth quarter, except Matt Stafford throws that pick. That is just the quintessential Lions Matt Stafford. That pick to Jaworski Tart, like. Hero ball. Yeah, okay, there are 3 defensive players back there, but everybody's been telling me since I was 2 years old that I got an arm touched by the gods, so I'll just throw it. And I'm sorry, that pass gets intercepted. The Niners might be up 10. Like I don't know that I could scream that, wow, amazing Stafford, what a player.
Oh no, absolutely. That was like that. Lee Corso used to say when he would watch that's why that guy doesn't play receiver. Like in terms of just
right. Well, yeah.
But also
Stafford.
it was like reminded me it was like a Brett Favre punt. You know what I mean? It was like one of those Brett Favre like let's see who can do it, and it was not the time for that.
Right. And so that's my point about the Super Bowl participants, which we'll get to in a moment, is that they're flawed. However, the Rams probably less flawed than Jimmy Garoppolo. That Garoppolo played fine in the first half. The sequence in the second to last drive where he throws the pick to Jalen Ramsey drops it, and then the last sequence of the check down incompletion, delay of game, check down completion from -3 yards, and the Carson Wentz backhanded flip interception to end it. It's just like, dude, that's what you have.
Well, I knew things were bad when I was on Philadelphia Twitter, I suppose, but when McNabb and Carson Wentz were the 2 top trending things during the game, I was like, this is not a good sign.
Yeah, and so I think we expect Garoppolo to be gone. It felt to me like, and the Chiefs are a very good team, and Mahomes is probably still the best quarterback in the league, but he's got some kryptonite going on. It felt to me like the teams that we're going to talk about as being in the Super Bowl maybe advanced by being less terrible than the other 2 teams. We'll talk about that in a second. First, let's thank our sponsor. We have DraftKings Sportsbook once again, and if Sportsbook just became legal in your state, like, for instance, if you live in New York, because New York just came online, I mean, I think it's like a third of the country now where you can do sportsbook online. This is a great time to do it because, it's good to have a little, if you're not a Ram fan, not a Bengal fan, it's a great time to have action on the big game, as they say. And so if you go to the DraftKings.com or go to get the DraftKings Sportsbook app, use our promo code HarrisTube. They have a great promotion going on where all you have to do is bet $5. You get $280 in free bets, straight up bet, not a point spread bet, money line. So just pick a winner. It's a pretty good deal. It's a good way to get a bankroll that you can then play with for the rest of the year. We do thank DraftKings very much for continuing to sponsor our channel. All right, so first look at this Super Bowl matchup. The ever so likely number 4 seeded Bengals against the ever so likely 4 seeded Rams. Am I right in saying that's the lowest combination seeding in Super Bowl history? I think I heard that.
That's true, and that's also fitting why the line is 4. So,
right? Well, it's not. It's 4.5. But
there
actually,
you go. Right.
I think it opened at 4 in favor of the Rams. Rams -4. You said you saw it immediately somewhere within the first few minutes at 3.5, right?
Yeah, and then obviously that shifted, but I saw that on a couple books. Like it sat there, but that was just that first soft line, and now we're seeing that it's 4.5.
It seems like it is kind of I think there are places as of our recording this you can still find it at 4. You can also mostly find it at 4.5. DraftKings as of us talking about it has it at 4.5. What's your first reaction to that being the spread?
I'm uncomfortable. Like when you and I would sit down and write down a lot, like what we would do with Harris After Dark, and it was a practice that you taught to me, or I adopted from you, was the idea that, before you even assess the game, before you see the line, write down your own, just what's your gut. And that instinct has a lot of synthesis, all the stuff you've been doing. Well, my first gut was 4. So it's a Vegas line. We used to call it the Vegas zone, or because it's that in between. It's not a field goal game. I don't know what to say. My first gut is that I want to give the points. I think the Rams have the better roster, and I also just think strength on weakness, if it was picking these teams' identities, it would be that defensive line versus that offensive line of Cincinnati. So my first gut is to give the points.
Yeah, and I kind of feel like that too about the defensive line, and yet the Chiefs had 1 sack in that game. In the game where, even though Joe Mixon winds up having a pretty nice overall statistical total, they had to throw a lot. I mean, Burrow brought back a ton in that game, and they did a much better job protecting him for whatever that's worth. I did the same thing you did. I set it all up and tried to figure out what I thought the line should be, and I said 3. So I might, I don't know, I have to reconsider potentially, but I might be on the Bengals here. And it's really just because I'm not sure it has been wise throughout these entire playoffs to ever assume that anyone's going to kill anybody. Like, would you agree with my analysis that these two teams are fine?
Yeah, they're fine, and it speaks to what the first exercise that you had us do in the first edition of this was, how many teams can you actually realistically see there and finishing? And I think I had 5 or 6 total, and you were right around. Maybe you're a little smaller, but 5 or 6 teams that we felt were legitimate contenders, not just like could flirt with, going deep, like really, really win the Super Bowl. That's what I think we're seeing. Like, right? Because I included these 2 teams, and they made it.
I don't think I included the Bengals. I think these teams are fine. This is going to me, stand out like each of the Ravens Super Bowl wins in the 2000s, like the first Tampa win in the 2000s, kind of like the one-off. There was no great team. The supposed to be great team lost. And we look back and we go, oh yeah, I guess Trent Dilfer did win a Super Bowl.
Right.
Joe Flacco did win a Super Bowl. Now, if this is the beginning of Joe Burrow winning 4 out of 5, well, I'm going to feel pretty dumb. But it strikes me as just the parity year. And I guess where I'm going with this is, if it's the parity year, maybe I don't. Maybe I just would take points in a parity situation. Maybe I don't know. I don't exactly know yet. We got like 10 days to figure this out. Let's talk about the total a little bit as well, because that came down too. What did we say it opened at?
I thought it opened above 50, but I think we ended up saying it opened at 49.5.
Yeah. I think it opened at 49.5. I think you said you saw it at as much as 50. And now, as of our recording this, I think we said it's at 48.5. It's gone actually down. Yeah, that's a low total, especially for a Super Bowl. That's a low total. What's your first reaction that the market is telling you? Not, market's telling you 27-20.
Yeah, especially in like this bonanza of late touchdowns we just went through. Not that every game went over, but you just would think the public would be craving the over. But it's a pretty conservative total, actually, to me. Maybe it speaks to, maybe we can find this out next week, but does it speak to what they expect the game to lay out? I don't think that's it. It's just, I think it speaks to what you said. It speaks to the parity. They don't really know. This seems like a formulaic line, kind of, if that makes sense. Like, it's not, I don't think they're trying to read too much into it. They're like, 49.
Right. Usually I think you would say the public would just want there to be points. The public would be over. They almost always are, especially the public is never dumber than it is during the Super Bowl. And the fact that it's set pretty low makes me think the wise guys really think it's going to go low. And my instinct is in these playoffs is to be under. So I don't know. We're going to do a show before the game. We're going to do a show this time next week, and we'll try to have more concrete opinions. This is meant to be kind of that 10,000-foot look at the opening feelings about the game. And, we were talking about maybe some props that we were interested in. And I got to admit, I looked and I was like, I don't think the full list of props is up yet. I don't think the action has gotten all that sharp yet. I don't know. Did you feel differently?
The only thing when you said 10,000-foot view via email, I just thought about like zooming in and seeing Commodores or Commanders. Like,
you tried to make a joke and you still couldn't remember the team name.
I ruined it. No, but so yes, the prop buffet, the menu is not fully out yet, which makes sense, right? But one that I like right away is the under on Joe Mixon receiving yards. It started off at 30. DraftKings now has it at 26.5. It keeps getting bet down. I was able to get it a little higher, but I just he doesn't he would have to break one in base. Like P. Ryan is still going to be the guy on third down. I just think it's more of a fantasy over. Like, I think it's a little too high for me. He would have to break something. I don't think in his normal buffet. Buffet. I keep saying buffet. His normal in his normal workload, I don't think would include a ton of passing work. So that's my thing right now. My first gut would be under that. I also tend to like under on attempts, the early attempt lines. I don't think the books aren't great at marrying attempts and completions and like how to do that math. And so it's a little high. Like Stafford opened at 39. Now it's 37.5. I don't hate the under on that, on attempts.
Okay. All right. We'll dig more into that and come up with some favorites, both on this show next week, also on the podcast next week. Chris Raybon is going to be on, and we'll talk about what the market's doing with all the props and all the teasers and all that stuff. That is yet to come. Just like we said, Jim, when you and I were doing NFL content back in August, obviously it always set up to be Rams Bengals in the Super Bowl.
Clearly.
I'm in the city of Los Angeles, and obviously everybody's heart is aflutter.
It's like it's Rams Town. Yeah.
It is very much not Ramstown. It has not yet made a single dent into the consciousness of most people walking around. I'm trying to think of all of the teams that were in the playoffs. Rams, Bengals. Is that the worst for the TV ratings? Is that the worst for? Might be. It's close.
It's up there. I mean, maybe Tennessee would. Well, Tennessee had some big fantasy names. Yeah, this might be. Yeah, this is bad in terms of what they wanted.
This is rough. And yet still potentially a good game between teams that are fine.
Sure.
More time to think about it. I'm going to probably wind up doing some film stuff on a couple of those players over the course of this next week. I'll tell you all what I find when we reconvene here next week. We'd love to know what you think. Tell us what your initial reaction is to the line and whether you think we're crazy and this is way over. This is a 30-27 shootout down to the very end. Tell us down in the comments. Please do subscribe to the channel if you're not. That really helps us as well. Thank you to DraftKings for sponsoring, and we will see you next time. Thanks so much for watching. Please, please, please smash that like button, write a comment, tell us who else you'd like to see us review film on, and of course, best of all, please subscribe to our channel and then click that little bell above the subscribe button and you'll be notified whenever we post a new video.